Hi there. Welcome, everyone. I have this amazing individual that I would love to introduce you to. Her name is Jacki Gethner. She's someone that I have seen for body work and massage for over a decade and is an incredible human being. I would love to say hi, Jacki. Hi.
Hello.
Hello
Thank
and
you for
welcome.
letting me do this.
Yes, of course. Hello and welcome. I would love for you all to get to know Jacki a little better. So, Jacki is a resident of Portland, Oregon, and is a renowned international health advocate, activist, and educator, and is also an LMT and Reiki master. In 1987, she launched her practice of regenerative therapies, and she possesses over 3 decades of experience in support and body work. She has a history in the field of HIV/AIDS, where she's worked in collaboration with many civic and government agencies, health educators, faith-based organizations, and pharmaceutical companies. Jacki is recognized as a pioneer and seasoned healer in prevention and self-care of HIV/AIDS individuals and other vulnerable communities through the use of regenerative therapies. You can find more about Jacki and her work at jackigethner.com, and that's spelled JACKIGETHNER.com. So, Jacki, you have such a fascinating background. Can you tell us some about what brought you into massage and body work?
I'd be glad to. Thank you. So, I had been a mental health worker in Boulder, Colorado for a number of years. And I realized that there was one thing in particular that people that were on the psych units all shared, and it was some kind of body issue, whether it was a trauma or an eating disorder or some kind of dysfunction within their physical body. And so I decided that maybe going to massage school, of which Boulder was one of the most renowned in the United States at that time, for their neo-Reichian or integrative work, which looks at emotions and how they play a part in the physical body. So I decided to go to school, which is something I had never really enjoyed before. And at that time, they did not offer funding for school. So I reached out to my support system and they all funded my schooling, which was a lot less than it is today. It was about $7,000 and they funded that for me in a week. So I felt like that was a sign that I was being encouraged to go. And I went to this 18-month program with over 1,000 hours and learned massage. In the middle of that process, there was a conference that was offered called AIDS Medicine Miracles, which was the first holistic and Western medicine AIDS conference that was offered in the United States. And I wanted to go to it because my oldest girlfriend had become infected with HIV as she was a drug addict from taking Dilaudid for 20 years after a car accident that her doctor had prescribed. So I was very interested in the subject as well as having other friends that had been infected. So at that point, nobody was touching people with HIV, including the doctors, nurses, all people. So we went to the conference, myself and another person who was in school with me, and we offered chair massage in the back of the hall, which was incredibly widely received, other than it was the first touch for some people they had received in years. And it was very emotional. Let me say that. It was very emotional. So out of that, it became an opportunity for me to, whenever they had a conference, to both put together massage teams as well as then offer workshops because it was important for me to have people were dying so quickly then that it was important for me to teach whole communities of family that weren't really biological family how to work with people and not be afraid of it because it brought up so many memories or feelings of when they will be dying in the very near future. This again was a time when people were just dying from this disease. So I did that and then I was able to do other work around HIV with different other organizations throughout the United States. And I participated in the Vancouver, British Columbia World AIDS Conference back in the late 1990s. Subsequent to that, then I moved to Oregon and was recruited by pharmaceutical companies because at that time, when people were taking HIV meds, they couldn't miss a dose. And if they missed a dose, they couldn't go back to taking the same medicine, which was why there were so many medicines that were coming out at that time. So I did workshops on complementary medicine for medical adherence, because with these medicines came a lot of side effects that made people not want to take them. And so there were a lot of deaths that were caused because of that. So I continued to do that until 2009, when I was nominated to receive and did receive a National Kaiser Award, the only person in the country to receive it in 2009 for my work in HIV and AIDS. It was a diversity award. And with that came an amount of money. And because my girlfriend had passed away, I wanted other girlfriends to be able to talk with their girlfriends about the problems around getting infected with HIV, because women, especially over 50 at that point, and continue to be in a pretty high rate now, were the fastest growing group of people getting HIV, but they were a very small group. But they were my girlfriends, they were my peers. So I received this award, and on the day Viagra came out, I started my nonprofit, which was called Women of a Certain Age. And I proceeded to, it's 14 years later, have a nonprofit, which unfortunately people haven't paid as much attention to as I would have liked, because they have a feeling that they're not going to die, I guess, and they don't have anything to worry about in terms of their health. Though I certainly have made an impact on that in the last 14 years with the work that I have offered. And so that kind of brings me to right now, other than the fact that as part of that, I will say that in 2000, I presented in South Africa with my friend Elliot Rivera. We presented at the International AIDS Conference there. I did a Women's Institute, and we did a pre-conference institute for traditional healers, as my friend is a Yoruba priest. And so we did weaving the basket of self-care, building a community, so that the tribal leaders would work more with Western medicine, because there was a lot of false beliefs going around traditional medicine helping HIV, and in reality, it was just people were just dying.
Mm.
So I will say that, because that's something I'm very proud of. It was an opportunity for us to see Nelson Mandela up close, which is an occasion I will absolutely never forget. So, yes. So that's kind of what brought me into the work, and 37 years plus. And I feel that, especially today, these days, especially after COVID, getting people back to work, and subsequently just a whole bunch of us kind of getting to be elders at the same time, has kind of has risen the stakes, right? Raised the stakes to for us to really be more cognizant of our limited life, of the things we need to do to stay healthy in our life. And I tried to do it not without medicine, because it's complementary medicine, not alternative medicine. I work a lot with doctors and therapists and things like that. And I don't at all suggest to people that they should go the alternative route without some support from more traditional medicine. But we've become such a country of absolutes and yes and no and all and nothing, that people have a hard time embracing that kind of belief in themselves.
Mhm. Beautiful story. You have such an amazing background and um, so much wisdom to share. I would love it if you don't mind. Could you share like one or two self-care skills that people in attendance could take away from this talk?
Sure. What's important to me when I do presentations and retreats and things like that is that I teach skills. I think all of us have gone to many conferences and retreats and those kinds of woo-woo weekends where you come home with a sheath of paper and maybe a painted rock. But there aren't really skills that you can utilize and take into your life and kind of bring into your daily regimen. So these aren't rocket science. These are, you're going to say, when I tell you what they are, you're going to say, oh, I do that, but you don't do it. We don't do it enough. And especially in these times of all the things that are going on, we don't need to list them. We're caught up in this more than ever, and most people aren't even aware how stressed out they've become. But one of the things is just the concept of breathing. When we are afraid or we're in pain or we're paying attention to something, like you probably are listening to this video, and I thank you very much, we're not breathing. And so there's many schools of thought that have come out about breathing. I'm into the really simple stuff. So it's kind of breathing in your nose and out your mouth because that helps clear your lungs of air much better than anything else. If you have a cold and you can't nose breathe, you can certainly breathe in and out of your mouth. But you'll find when you start to do that, that your body will start to slow down and your shoulders will start to dissipate from your ears because they will, you'll just be more relaxed. You're getting more oxygen in your body, which will allow it to relax better. Certainly when you can't sleep at night, that's so important to just start breathing and you'll start falling asleep by just moving your hands down your chest as you take more deep breaths with your down to your stomach, versus just this little kind of breathing, which most people do. So that's one thing I would share really quickly. And the other thing I would share would be sleeping. People have been telling me how much trouble they've had sleeping through the night. For some people, it's because they have to get up and use the bathroom, but then they have a hard time going back to sleep. And part of that is because they look at their phone. And I'm a big encourager to not look at your phone if you wake up in the middle of the night. But I'm also an encourager to have a little bit, a small bottle of lavender oil by your bed and put some on your pillow or on your pajamas if you wear pajamas, so that you can start to take in that that smell. And lavender is very relaxing for people. If I get up in the middle of the night, which does happen from time to time, I just immediately get up, go make myself some hot milk, put a little cinnamon and honey in it, and I'm able to come back to bed and do my breathing and fall right back asleep. So I would encourage people to do that, but also, and try not to do this in the middle of the night, is look at your sleep posture. If you sleep on your side, that's great, that's fine, but the best place to sleep is on your back, because of allowing your back to stretch out and your vertebra, the discs in your vertebra to spread out. And when you lay on your stomach, they all get super compressed. But I see a lot of people who sleep on their stomachs, and most of them have had some kind of a trauma that's not been resolved in their body. So we're being protective, and that's a longer story. But the way I'll teach you very quickly, the way to deal with sleeping on your stomach, which probably will get me a lot of mail, is you wear a t-shirt and you duct tape a tennis ball right here. This is cartilage, it's not bone. So when you when you roll onto it, it's going to hurt you. But it's a reminder that you should be sleeping on your back, and hopefully with a pillow or some kind of rolled up blanket under your knees to help stretch those vertebrae out. And to also not be to use classical music or something on a timer with just quiet music, so there's no hypervigilance. That'll also help you fall back asleep. So that's my quick note.
Those are great. Thank you. Beautiful tips.
Sure,
Um,
sure.
you have some awesome things that you're offering right now for families and stuff around the holidays. Can you share about that?
Right. So for businesses and nonprofits and anyone, my whole thing is about what can I teach you that you can teach to somebody else, whether it be someone in your family, whether it be clients. And I've been doing a lot of work around that this last couple of years. It's also really important to work with, encourage people to come back to work after COVID. There are a lot of people who are having a lot of depression and anxiety about coming back to work. So I'm trying to offer some work with corporations and nonprofits to encourage people the safety of being able to interact with each other, because people are getting pretty depressed being at home all the time, but they're less and less likely to take the chance that they would have a good time if they went out.
Mm.
In terms of the holidays, and it's something I really offer all year round, is to come into a family's home and work on the whole family, teach the whole family. And I don't do massage on the whole family. I teach the family how to work on each other. So kids learn to work on each other and on their parents so they can positively manipulate them depending on their age. And for parents to be able to work on their kids to help have time to talk about stuff and to maintain that contact with them that I think we're really losing in this day of cell phones all the time and people communicating only in other ways without face-to-face contact very much. So that's one of the things that I'm offering. I also offer it to couples who don't have kids or family that live with them. And each person gets a chance to work, figure out where they want to be worked on for half an hour or an hour, whatever we're doing. And it's led to a lot better communication and some other kinds of adventures after I leave. So I think it's a wonderful offering that it's very different than receiving a massage yourself, but it's kind of the gift that keeps giving, which is what I really am interested in. The other part of that, however, is there are a lot of people who are older, like myself. I will be 75 this next year, and they live alone. And they might live in a facility, they might live in independent living, but the general gift historically, as I've grown up, has been you give people in nursing homes chocolate covered cherries and flannel nightgowns for the holidays. And there's a lot of studies that I have that I can share with people about how much older people really just want the attention from their family or the time and the touch. One of the most important things as people are dying is that they really want to be touched, and people are afraid to do that. So I'm offering to go into facilities with families or wherever somebody lives and have the family learn to work on grandma or auntie or whomever it is and do hand massage and foot massage. And this is especially really great for young children because they um, feel like they're doing something that grandma likes. You know, it's better than a picture, really. So, and it's something that can be used all the time. So it's something that everybody can look forward to. And it also helps people when someone then passes because you will have been literally present with that person and connected in an energy way, but certainly in a physical way.
Oh, those
So
are
those are things I'd like to offer. And that also applies, excuse me, just a minute, Teresa, because this is just as important with families with somebody with a disability or a chronic and terminal illness. This is where my experience lies, and this is really important for people who might have Parkinson's or lupus or cancer or those kinds of things also, as well as kids with autism. There's certainly ways to work with kids of all types and kinds in terms of their needs. And I don't want to say I'm master of all, but basic line is touch is good as long as it's your intention is good. And the skills aren't hard to learn at all.
that's such,
Thanks.
yeah, such a beautiful offering. Thank you. Well, all of the offerings that you have are wonderful. And you're such a great teacher and especially for like working on the body, you are hands down like just an amazing healer and teacher. So from my experience, I can say that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And
Thanks.
as far as like working with organizations, as you can tell, Jackie is an amazing speaker. So I highly recommend that you hire her to come and talk to your office or your organization. Yeah.
Thank you. I also mess around a lot with aromatherapy and crystals. So for some people, they're not into it, and that is so totally okay. And wherever people are at, I try to meet people where they are at and bring touch into their life in a way that I'm not going to go, oh my God, she's just over the top woo woo. You know, that doesn't work very well. And there's a lot of that out there. So I just want to make it practical and possible and something that you get great benefit from.
Yeah, you've kept me healthy for over a decade, so thank you so much for your gifts.
Thank you.
You have definitely. Uh, yes, definitely recommend seeing Jackie for body work as well. Well, this has been such a treat. Thank you so much for sharing more about yourself and your background and your amazing offerings. And thank you again for sharing those skills with us. They're very powerful, simple but powerful things that you can do to affect your life positively. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you for helping me out with this.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, Jackie, such a treat. Thank you again. And Thank you all for joining us. And
Thank you. Have a great evening, weekend, whatever's coming up, and stay out of the rain.
yes, bye bye, everybody.
Bye.